So, let's talking about the different parts of the brain and what they do. Parts of the brain, the functionality for different purpose, the different thing, which have a dimension different parts of the brain has different effect. If that they the looking fMRI scan and PET scan of the something that record neural activity. You could very go based on the location of the inequality that going on. So the third thing I realized talking about the brain, but the more precise of the more includes if you're talking about the brain and part of the spinal cord. So you don't need your brain for evening. There are central activities that can happen without a brain, like psyching and newborn and pulled your limb back and without from the pain or something that but for everything else we're talking about a cause. We'll already be talk about the brain. So that is structure of the brain that have relevant and called subtract with the mental below the contour of the mental in the center of the brain. The including part of the brain like a middle which center often function like of the heart rate, a blood plastic slowing, and so on. It including the celebrate with the including in body balance of the muscle cardinals contains about billion nerves, so the smile they hypothalamus that includes the feeling and sex that and also the different epochs. We go and talking about emotion or physical disorders will return to the health part of the brain, but the aspect of psychical that is difficult for us to make as human were mostly focused on the outlay, the cerebral cortex, so that cerebral cortex or the clumping up of the thick brain pulls the cortex straighten it out like that remove right to go from the funk of you can and a half strange if you about that feel square. So it's a love clumping to get in it's about the monomers thing of the attraction that is I'd learn from a thing interested that it take place if a result light of the complex result come from. Fish don't have a celebrate contact place and birds have little bit, but primate including human have a lot. When you look in a cortex, you set a health and a life health and a right health. For each of the health, when you look, if you can damage of the brain cortex in a different level, where going from something in the back with the frontal lobe, constant enough of the frontal parietal lobe, particle lobe, the temporal lobe, each of the lobe, different thing what I tell about in a bit. Another about curtain which is super interesting, the including map, what I mean on including to get happy map of who think are close together in the brain, similar close together in the body. So at a more that if you soak part of the brain, body will reach accurately. Just like the expert, your middle fin and a close from which close to elbow. This is the close real vault on your body close to the brain and the primal stomacher area with the sense orange that I have somebody in operating table of the sock people that expert fin and the expert is so the fruits a light touch. In fact, the optical lobe have map provision as the temporal lobe. You have a map of sound. That's really cool. A set map and together body size with brain area don't correct. So size that optical body areas that expert of each that motor sound function. So I have down particle of people body where probably the expert the brain was you still think of the body, the relation, smile, body, hand, emotion, and the face and mouth, because you have a lot of sensation. That emotion goes ahead to the brain, whole back, from back, psychical part. So part of the cortex, the project area, both that quest cortex contain project area. As I said, that involved with the cool stuff with language. That result for also or no. That question come now this which no part brain that a part of the brain in a love and a why that different as well. So one answer the can brain you can amortize requires imagine flight to look and active the brain with a pulse active people different thing. You can look at the cold natural expert people tumors stroke and motor extent in damage part of the brain, and we can ask a question you damage with brain correct damage with function. From the different how we learned about different parts of the brain that they do. We could talk about some center specific thing of the wrong do brain damage stockstrom. So for instance for Parhian problem of attraction, so unable to action like wearing goodbye I picking up before bright so food you move you paralyze you can the movie if you have a cardin the basic movement and couple extracts there are agnos is the destruction and the note but the rogis call it psychical balance. People aware from agnosis destroy depiction in terms of part but the rogis objects the main discussion from visit agnosis also specific prognosia that can Rogos face Oliver Sack that wonderful book manual ego called the man who met with the wife for a head. That's a serial profile of the people have surprised neural distort of the title case of the look of you can hear article but inability or ghost facts including destruction of the face of the head middle from or presaguasia where people saw from the be honest I'll live but the terrible face of the Kudrigos Fasam faced body corner request whose face there and very health august people that people censoring elegant you destruction a block of the play on a world. So maybe you even censor probably but attention probably that apsia that a destroy the lunch some form apsia the exon like break apsia but sound and FN else that is something that called herself apsia that I speak enough doesn't match so the terrible understand of the people the thought of the destruction that talking about friend gauge on the variable from the damage of the brain and think gauge of the case of the more clean cause of the lost more sins and sins wrong of the able to control the self their son use perhaps on the consequence boss we're going to talking about the thing or cause but immoral of the some location of function that service correspond to different brain be again of the argument again dualist that anyone against of the mind the brain if you have percent extent and damage to the brain seem to affect some very intimate and very important aspect to ourselves.